everybody needs good support. You need a sister like Nancy Ume who will step in and fight for you. Go to court, threaten the tide and high water for you. You need one of them. Sometimes it's a friend, but everybody needs somebody in your corner who will come out and fight and drag you kicking and screaming, but drag you to safety anyway. Think very carefully about the networks you create and make sure that within your networks, you nurture people who will do that for you, and you also stand to do that for people within your network. It is important. But the most important lesson I have for you is, regardless of what has happened, learn some lessons from this Cora girl. Regardless of all the smear, regardless of what has happened, this girl has kept her head down. She has been writing her music. She has been on here engaging her audience. She's written a book. She's going here. She's collaborating with the that. She's doing all those things to try and make sure that she builds a life for herself and her children. And I know a lot of people were bashing her in the early days, and she couldn't care for the children, and she couldn't do this to the children's hair. I think even those of you who were of that view now will watch the kids, and you will see that the kids are living a very comfortable life now, right? Yeah, she's able to buy nice clothes for them. She keeps their hair. They seem to be living well. She doesn't seem to be under the same pressure that she was in the early days. She's settled. She's now living. And it looks like she and the girls are settling down to some order. You have to learn to put systems in place so that those who bury you will see you germinate and grow to be a tree. A tree that bears fruits for everybody to see. Be a seed so that the effort to bury you will make you germinate. What has happened to this girl? Most women will not survive. When people were trying to stop donations, her account was demonetized, but she was so lucky, she was so organized that her systems were wide. Sister Joyce, how you doing? Yeah. When they blocked her on Facebook, she could go on YouTube. When they blocked her on one Facebook page, she opened another one. When the social media earnings was not enough, she had a book out. And when the books were not earning, she had music out. When music was not, she was on the stage performing. Make yourself versatile. Make yourself wide. Make it difficult for people to sink you. Make it difficult for people to sink you. You must create within your systems a survival technique so that even when all your support is pulled, even when people throw you in the water, you find a way to swim, and to swim to safety and to thrive. This story could have ended very, very terribly for that girl. We could have been sitting here 3 years on. She should have been bankrupt. She should have not been able to care for her children. By that time, the children would have been taken from her. She should not have had her act together. People were actually calling for her to be deported back to Nigeria, to go and do this and go and do that. But you must make sure that in all your doings, you have taken care of business. In all your doings that you find, in all your doings that you stabilize yourself and you don't leave yourself vulnerable. That you don't become dependent on anybody. Because the person you are dependent on can sink you easily. Can you imagine if her ex-husband was the one who paid for everything? Can you imagine? If she did not have any income streams of her own, can you imagine? Can you imagine being with a guy who throws you into the streets 3 days after you've had a baby and says you have 2 days to leave? How many of you have organized yourself so that you will be able to go rent a place, you would be able to have a life with your children, you will 3 years on be able to buy a house in the States, buy another one in Nigeria, buy a this and do a this? How many of you have thought about it, and how many of you have organized yourselves to be able to do that? So yes, you don't need to be a fan of the nyash shaking. I am not a fan of the nyash shaking. I don't even have the nyash to shake. I find it irritating that she is a young girl with 2 children. I've also had 2 children, and my body looks the way my body looks, and hers doesn't. I am jealous, and so I want to tear her to shreds for looking good. But even though I want to tear her for, and those of you who jump on the moral high horse, I don't like how she exposes herself. Okay, it's not yourself. Me, I'm not a fan of that one. And you can still be a non-fan of the way she dresses, but you've got to acknowledge. That's what intelligent people do. I don't like it, but I can acknowledge. Yeah, I can tell the truth even when my emotions are not in line with what I need to say. I think that girl has fought a phenomenal fight. I think she has put on a battle worthy of spotlighting for every young girl. I would prefer that you don't put yourself in these situations in the first place, because the fight is difficult. It would be better if you make better choices in the first place and don't end up in these situations. But we all don't know what will happen tomorrow.